Hello! Today we're going to be looking at how you can create your own book study. Hello and welcome to Rose Menagerie. Like I mentioned, we're going to be looking at how you can create your own book study. While we were away on our trip to the homeschool convention last weekend, I sat down and planned out our first term worth of author study. We're actually technically doing an illustrator study this year, but I actually sat down with the texts that I had picked and I created our timeline of what we're going to be doing during the term. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you guys how you can do the exact same thing. Okay, so what is a book study or an author study or an illustrator study? It can have a lot of different names. Essentially, what you are doing is you are utilizing a text or group of text, depending on what it is you're trying to do, and you're using the actual stories, the books, to then teach. It could be a writing skill, it could be character or some sort of social studies component, it could be even science. Could be math. Yeah, it could be a variety of different things you're trying to teach within the text. And as a matter of fact, the beauty of teaching from a storybook is that you can cover a wide range of subjects just by looking at this one particular book. So yeah, that's essentially in a nutshell what it is. And I'll walk through our first term with you guys so you can see how I set it up. But essentially what you're going to be doing is, first of all, read all your text yourself. If you have older kids and you want to focus on vocabulary or different parts, the ways that the writer is writing, the craft of writing, maybe they use alliteration, maybe they're really great at describing and using those adjectives. Maybe that's what you're trying to focus in on. But just that could be one area, is that you're looking at the craft of writing. So think about if that's what you're trying to do. For me, my boys are kindergartners, and so a big thing with kindergarten is, and personally, just how my belief system and how I want my boys to grow, is we're focusing more so on relational type things or cause and effect, so that they can begin processing themselves and relating what we're reading into their own life. So more of the social skills and the good discussions is kind of where I'm lying. We're also going to try to do a lot of fine motor and gross motor things just for their fingers and just the tactile type stuff. And then also journals. So that's what we're going to be incorporating in ours. Sorry, I had to leave and come back. I forgot to grab the boys' journals before we started, so I wanted to make sure and have these here. There's nothing in them yet, but just to kind of have it as a visual aid as we're going through this. So yeah, once you know what you're trying to teach and you know your texts that you're teaching from, then you just start planning. So what I did was we visited the Storybook Garden in Abilene, Texas this summer, and I decided that I wanted to try to branch out and kind of get back to my teaching roots and do book studies with the different illustrators that this Storybook Garden in Abilene has highlighted. So I went through, and you can go to their website, I'll tag it in the description so you can look at it yourself if you want to get an idea of kind of where I was thinking. But I went through and they have a lot of these sculptures that are based on certain illustrators' books that they took part in. And I broke up my year into terms highlighting those illustrators. It's not all of them, and honestly it's more so of the more prevalent ones. In recent years, I think they kind of rerouted how they were doing their sculptures and not doing as many of them. But so for term 1, we're going to be studying David Shannon's work, which that's what I have here today to show you guys. In term 2, we're doing Walter Wick, which his books are the ones that are all the different picture, all the items, and you gotta try to find them. The words are not coming to me. like, can you see what I see is kind of the thing. And also hey Seymour. Seymour's one of his characters. But it's like with a bunch of random stuff, and you gotta try to find like the horse in the middle of all the crazy stuff. But it's all real life items. Is that being clear? I don't know. Anywho, so we're doing Walter Wick, which one thing I found from doing it like I'm doing it, choosing these particular illustrators, is that some of their books are out of print, and so it's been hard to find them. Even trying to get them from the library, some of these our local library doesn't even have. So I will let you know how that works out this year. And then term 3, we're going to be doing William Joyce, and actually we're doing him over 2 terms. So basically from mid-October all the way to Christmas, we're doing William Joyce. And if you're familiar with the Rise of the Guardians movie, those characters are based off of his books. And so there's actually like a bunch of different ones. And anyway, so we are going to be reading several of his books, including chapter books too. So you don't have to do this just with children's literature like this. You can do it with chapter books as well. And then term 5, right after Christmas break, we're going to be doing Mark Teague, and he wrote all the like how do dinosaurs say goodnight, take a bath, all those kind of books. And then there's also a couple, like Poppleton is one that he wrote or that he illustrated for, and then like the Mr. LaRue or Mrs. LaRue, I should say, and then like Funny Farm. Anyway, he's got a variety of books that we're gonna be looking at. And then term 6 and 7, we're gonna be doing Dr. Seuss. So lots of things we can cover there. And then our final term, we're gonna be highlighting Garth Williams. He illustrated like Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little, Cricket in Times Square, and then they in Abilene have also highlighted his book, 3 Bedtime Stories, and it's got 3 little pigs, it's got the bears. Anyway, it's an older out of print book. I was able to find one, thankfully, on Thrift Books, so we have it, but it was a hard one to find. But I made sure and chose it because they actually have the statues there. And my idea is that as we read these stories and we visit family in Abilene, that they'll make those correlations between the two. So that's the idea. So, but you can do whatever authors you want to. Some of my favorite authors that we did when I taught was like Robert Munch. He has some great stuff that would be awesome. You could even do like Eric Carle or Leo Leone or Kevin Hinkes. Like pick some of your favorite children's books and see if they've done more, or if like you could get a commonality. Like maybe you're really wanting to do, like in the wintertime, you're wanting to do like traditions. And so you find some books that have to do with different traditions amongst different cultures. Or the sky's the limit. You can do kind of whatever you want to do. The idea is that you would take the book and then create activities. So this is what I did for term 1. I referred to the statues that they have at this place in Abilene, and I picked out the books that would correlate most with those statues, and those are the ones that I'm focusing on. And I have essentially assigned books to be read and activities done with them over a week's time. So like week 1, we'll focus on this set of books or one book. And then week 2, it's the next. And then week 3, but each week it's a different text. So and these are all from like when I taught for the most part. So some of them have been loved quite a bit. But for week 1, we are doing his text, No David, which he wrote after finding something that his mom found, I guess in his attic or something, of a book that he wrote when he was a kid. And it was basically all the words were No David. So this is a cute little story. And then this one, David Gets in Trouble. We're going to be utilizing these 2 books the first week. The second week, week 2, we are doing Too Many Toys. And then week 3, we are doing A Bad Case of Stripes. Then week 4, we're doing The Rain Came Down, which is a great cause and effect story. And then week 5 is Duck on a Bike, which I don't own that book, and so I'm planning on getting that from the library. But I do have some other books of his, and there's a whole bunch, another copy of this one, and then this is a little reader that came out with Scholastic a long time ago. This is about pirates. These are cute stories. And my idea is to get more of his books, and we'll have them here at the house, and we'll get them from the library, and then we can just access them and read them. Not like necessarily draw conclusions from them or use them for teaching, but just for enjoyment, which reading should be enjoyable, right? Okay, so I did that, and then this is where like the hard part comes in. So then what I did was I took the stories and I read them and I read them, and I tried to pinpoint what I wanted the boys to gain from reading these stories. And then, for example, with these two books, it's all about little David and the mess that he gets into just being a little boy. And not necessarily that he's like being bad or anything. It's just that he doesn't have boundaries, doesn't understand the boundaries. So after I read it, then I went ahead and I like wrote down like that kind of stuff, like boundaries and like knowing there's consequences, or like being cautious, like just like different kind of things that I want the boys to kind of take to heart. And then I went to Pinterest. And this is a great tool. If you don't have a Pinterest, you should go find one or make one and then use it. But I just searched No David activities, and then there's like a ton. You could go even to the Teachers Pay Teachers and have lots of things too. I'm a visual learner, and so Pinterest has the little pictures, which makes it easy for me. Like, oh yeah, I like that. So I went to there as well, and like looking at other things that teachers or moms had done, or examples, or they've created. I kind of created a flow of what I wanted to do. So we're doing 4 days of teaching each week, or instruction time. And so basically like the Monday day is like their first time that we read the text. So I try to do something that's going to be like more surface. It's not the in-depth, for a kindergartner. You're not going to get very deep, but it's just more the surface, because you haven't talked about it a whole bunch yet. And then each day, as you read it again, then you get a little bit more in depth or more critical thinking type stuff. So for example, with these two stories, on Monday, I found this really cute pin at this school. A lot of schools use the No Davids for when they're establishing their classroom rules. And we don't have that here at the house. But one school, they actually used David as a way for them the kindergartners to get a lay of the land, basically. So they took in here, like he gets paint on the walls. And so they took little handprints and they put them at all kinds of different places around the school. And the teacher then took the kids around the school to find where David had been, and then introduced them to different parts of the school. Like, this is the cafeteria, this is like, that kind of stuff. And then eventually they found David, and it was like this like fun scavenger hunt type thing. And it's just, just a fun thing. So I think that's what we're going to do. And I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that yet, if we're just gonna do it here around the house, or if I'm gonna incorporate like going to a park or something. It'll be kind of however I feel at that moment. But I think what I'm going to do is when they find David, he's going to have a recipe for making cookies. Because in the story, he gets in trouble for trying to reach for the cookies, I think. And I can't remember if he knocks them down or not, but let's see if I can find the picture. Yeah, so he's reaching for those cookies. And so I thought it'd be a really fun way to start off our week. So we'll do cookies, we'll make them that day to hopefully eat throughout the week. We'll see, depends on the boys and Carl on that one. And then on Tuesday, we'll read them again. They're very short. And we're gonna be doing, I wrote a journal entry. What are some positive choices that we can make? So what we'll end up doing is I will, with my pen, just write something along the lines of that. Like maybe what is something that would make somebody smile that David could have done, or that you could do, something like that. And then they'll draw a picture, and we're doing like they're stretching their words, so they'll just sound out whatever it is they're trying to say, and they just write the letters. And it's just a way for them to be creative, just an outlet to get their thoughts on paper. We're not looking for beautiful handwriting. I'm not looking for like great spelling or anything. It's literally just for their thoughts. And then when they're done drawing, I should have brought their like Hobbit books over here so you could kind of see. Oh, actually, let me grab it real quick. I'll show you. Okay, I'm back. So I want to show an example of these journals. So they draw a picture and then they write. So we are currently doing a Hobbit book club with cousins, and we finally got to the part in the Hobbit where they meet the dragon. And so the question is, what does Bilbo steal from Smaug? And so what he did, this is Liam's, he drew a picture, and this is Bilbo, this is the cup, and he wrote, I'm sorry, this is Connor's. Is this Connor's? Yeah, this is Connor's. He got scared because he stole the cup. And I don't know if you can tell, this is where it says, he got scared because he stole the cup. So we're not looking, like I'm not looking for it to be on lines. Like we are literally in the phase of just them having like building the confidence of having their own voice and when they're writing. And I'm sorry, this fly drives me crazy. Anyway, so that's what I mean. Here's an example of Liam's. There you go. Here's his Bilbo, his diamond of a heart, which is just beautiful. I love that wording. And this is Smaug. This is his cup. And then his is right here, and it says, he got kidnapped the cup. And like, he was changing even what he was trying to say mid-sentence. So that's why it is the way it is. But he got kidnapped the cup. So that's what we'll do, something similar to that in their journal for day 2 of writing about, you know, what are some positive choices that you can make. And I might even bring it down even more to like a specific scenario. Like if you were David in this story and, you know, you're eating all this food in your mouth, like what's a positive choice that you can make so that you're not bothering others with your chewing or something like that. And then on Wednesday, we are going to read the stories again. And a big part of kind of I'm falling more into like a Charlotte Mason type of education, and part of her methodology and her thinking is that narration is an important part. And so what that just basically means is just retelling the story with as many details as they can. As they get older, you kind of want them to just be more figurative and like just have a lot of good vocabulary. But them just being, you know, 5, more so you're looking for the elements of the story. Like, do they understand what happened in the story? So on Wednesday, we're going to be doing a retelling, and to try to get them crafty, we're going to do, I found a pin and I just saved it on my Pinterest board of where they make a David kind of foldable, and then it's just a simple beginning, middle, and end type of activity, which it may not work that well with this story because it's more so just like him getting into problems. So we might even change it up to where it's just they write a few things that happen in the story. And then on Thursday, we've read these books 4 times by that point. We're going to be creating their own book. And it's going to be, like I'll give them little sheets of paper and it'll say no and then a line, and then I'll say yes and then a line. So the idea is that they could put their name. I might even just have them write no Liam, no Connor, and then yes Liam, yes Connor. But essentially what they're going to do is they're going to pick something that was not a good choice or something that, you know, in hindsight, not a good idea. And then on the bottom, they're going to draw a picture of the good side of that. So for example, playing with your toys, like no Liam could be not washing his hands, so he's like playing with toys, his hands are all dirty. And like yes Liam would be him washing his hands, or something like that. Just like the kind of like the comparison is what we're looking for, and they're gonna make a little book out of that. And then that book will just we'll tape it into their journal, and then they'll have it here, and that'll be our first week. So it took me probably about 20 to 45 minutes per week to get an idea of the activities we're going to be doing. And then, like I said, now I have this list of activities that we're going to do. And so when we get closer to time, that's when I'll actually start preparing stuff for the activity. And this actually shouldn't be that bad at all. This is the only thing that we're doing. I got everything else pre-made. If you haven't watched my video of how we're planning our year, go check that out. If I can figure out how to do the little banner things, I will try to do a button up here. I don't know. See how fancy I get. If not, I'll put it in the description too. But everything else the boys are doing is already organized and ready to go. I can just literally give it to them. So this is the one area where I feel a bit more flexible to be more creative and do more crafty type of stuff. So yeah, that's week 1. So I can quickly go through the rest of the weeks just so that you kind of have maybe get some ideas going for you of what you could do for activities. But week 2, if not, if you need to bow out, that's cool too. But hopefully this is helpful and it gives you an idea of what you can do with your kiddos. So week 2 is this book, Too Many Toys, and it's about this little boy who has too many toys and his house is overrun from all these amazing toys that he's gotten from family and, you know, Happy Meals and that kind of stuff. And his mom just is fed up and she decides that she wants him to go through his toys to get rid of stuff. And it has a very surprising ending. So anyway, so what we're going to do with this story is on Monday, we're just going to do a simple journal prompt. So in here, and it's going to be, what is your favorite toy? And possibly even like, why is that toy your favorite? So then they'll draw a picture and write about that in their journal. That'll be day 1. Then day 2, we're going to do, I pinned a Spencer craft. And actually I'll try to put that in the description too, so if you can see my board. I think it's public. Well, we'll see. And they'll do a craft. And I wrote on here, Spencer has too many toys. Instead of keeping them all, he could. And then they can just brainstorm and tell me like, what could he do with all of his toys instead of keeping them all. And then on Wednesday, they're going to sketch in their journal the best toy ever, which has to do with how the story ends. So I don't want to give it away without you reading it. And then on Thursday, we're going to, I forgot to mention this, early in the week, we're going to start going through their toys. And by Thursday, we'll have Thursday's activities to finish going through their toys. And then I'm going to try to find, I have a couple places in mind, but I need to reach out to them to see if they are fine with having kids come and help. But try to reach out to a place in town where we could go and volunteer for a bit and help them sort things or just help in some form of capacity with moving things around. So, and like donation type stuff. So that's going to be our week 2. Week 3, we're doing, sorry, my eye is twitching and it's driving me crazy. We're doing the bad case of stripes. This is about a little girl who she starts going to school. Yeah, but she loves lima beans, but she's afraid her friends are going to make fun of her for liking lima beans. And so she hides that she doesn't like them, and then she starts changing colors and having stripes, and basically it's all because she's not being true to herself. She's not sharing her real self with everybody. And at the end, she embraces herself and gets lima beans. So what we're gonna do, we've never had, to my knowledge, I've never had lima beans before. So sometime during the week, we're going to cook lima beans and try them. But on Monday, we are going to read the story, and I'm going to stop before we get to the end. And then in their journal, they're going to write a prediction of what they think or how they think that the ending of the story is going to go. What do they, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to give it away, but just kind of along those lines, they're at the make a prediction in their journal about how it's going to end. So we'll do the same thing. They'll draw a picture, they'll write words, and then when they're done, we'll finish reading it, and then we'll see if their prediction was a good one or not. And honestly, with that, it's just, when they're little like this, their prediction might be totally just not based on anything. But eventually, as they're reading more works and you do more prediction type stuff, they'll start to draw conclusions based on things that they read in the story or they see in the picture. So you're kind of just like slowly molding that craft of good readers do. And then on Tuesday, we're going to talk about Camilla's feelings and how she felt at the beginning of the story versus the end. And we'll probably do some sort of journaling with that. And then Wednesday, I found a craft on Pinterest that we're going to do. And it has to, you take a picture and make it black and white and like print it out of like, so of Liam and Connor. And then they'll get to color their face however they want to. Like in here, she's got like, she turns all different kinds of patterns. Like right here on the cover, the stripes. So the boys get to basically do it with themselves, and then they'll write out some of their favorite foods. And then on Thursday, we're going to do, I don't know if y'all remember this activity, but when we were kids, I remember taking lima beans and putting them in a plastic bag up in the window, and then like you would grow sprouts from that. And so what we're gonna do is that type of activity, and then we will just sketch what we're doing in our journals. And then hopefully if they sprout, later on we'll come back and add that information into our journals. So kind of like a little bit of science going on there. And then week 4, we're doing The Rain Came Down, which this is a story about cause and effect. And it starts off with the rain coming down, which causes the chickens to squawk, which causes this, until there's like a whole bunch of chaos, and then it works its way back to not being chaos. But it's all about cause and effect. That's essentially what the story is. And there's some pretty funny things throughout. So on Monday, we're going to do this similar to what we did the week before. We're going to make a prediction of what's going to happen at the end of the story. On Tuesday, we're going to do, I did a pin, and my notes on here are kind of even vague, so I'll have to try to figure out what I mean by this. But I did a pin of like the cause and effect, basically kind of a recap of the story, and then picking out, because this happened, then this happened. So we'll probably do like maybe a journal entry or something with that, of them just highlighting an event in the book, and because of this happened, if that makes sense. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do rainwater, we're going to do water cycle bags to show like rain, and then how it goes back up and through evaporation and all that kind of stuff. Similar to the lima beans being in the window, that will also be in the window. So we'll sketch it in our journal and watch it and make notes basically of what, but just to kind of see how rain works. And then on Thursday, we're going to do a rain art activity. So this one's more so like, we didn't even talk a whole, like we'll talk a little bit about the writing side of it with being cause and effect, but I did a lot more like just rain focused activities, because that sounded like a fun thing to do. And we need rain here so bad. So I was like, this would be fun. And then I literally just put rain art. So I picked a couple different ones that I pinned, and we'll just kind of see what happens when that happens. And then I also made a note in the story, some of the characters go for a picnic. And so it would be fun if we one day went for a picnic. So that's my thoughts. And the final book is called Duck on a Bike. And it's an adorable book about this duck who finds a bike, and he rides it around this farm, and all the animals are like kind of judging him a little bit. And then at the end of the story, all the animals are now able to ride their own bikes, and it's really cute little thing. So that's the one I didn't actually get to finish yet because I ran out of time, and I was like, oh, I can get to this one later. But part of the story is like following a certain order of the animals. So like the ordinal numbers, like this came first, this came second. So we'll probably do something at some point during the week about with ordinal numbers and just kind of sequencing the story. And then I wrote, if you wrote our book, what animal would you want Duck to pass by and then eventually ride the bike? So maybe a new animal that wasn't in the story. So they kind of create their own character basically. So I only have those two things. There's a couple crafts that I found. I gotta come back to this one personally. And then I also made a note of Safety City. We have a local thing here where the kids can go to and learn how to ride their bikes safely within a city. It's called Safety City. And so I'm trying to get a hold of them to see about trying to get a group of our friends to go and do that. sometime during that week or somewhere near that time. So anyway, that is our term 1. Like I said, that last week is not done yet, but it's okay. I'll get to it. I was more so worried about the first few weeks, because those first few weeks I have a feeling are going to be a lot, but then also not. I think it's going to be great. But anyway, hopefully that is helpful as we get going with our term in just a few weeks. I'll be the goal is to do some weekly vlogs so you can kind of see how these things will play out. But if anything, I just hope this was a blessing to you and that it'll help you in creating your own book studies. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Be sure to like and comment. I keep forgetting to say at the beginning of the videos, but it helps a lot if you could do that, and subscribe. Share us with your friends. I'd appreciate it so much. Yeah, that's all I have today. Y'all be blessed.